So this is Baruch here at the Tikkun elevator call. Let me see if I can get some better light on what we're doing here. Not that, a little bit better. So it says we're going to be over here. We're going to be looking at the words of the Riha Kodesh. We're in Kriat Shemah, Drush Gimel. It's the beginning of Drush Gimel, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the different stations that we talked about. Let's try to get my language right. It's Drush Gimel, and he cites the page that's found in the actual without the parish. This is the Tivuk of Onos. So what we're going to do is we'll read it across the top again on this topic, and we'll find a place to stop, and then we'll come back and try to add up the Tivuk of Onos for a second reading. So it said, Beibin and Dalad meaning Yehudi Kriat Shema. So now here's the words that we want to use. I've been using the word stations, and he wants to use the word over here. That's not really what I meant, but he says the word here is the Yehudin that takes place 4 different times in Kriat Shema. So the first one is Shalamita. He's talking from the bottom to the top. Shel Arvis, Shel Shakris, Beseder, and then the one, Beseder Kavanos, Shel Shakri, Beseder Kavanos, Shel Shakris, Betefidus Yotze. So these are the 4 different times that we say Kriat Shema during the daytime. So the previous drush that we were working on explained like this. Where the change really comes is when you say the word Yisrael, Beseder Kinesis Amochin the Katnut. And what happens is it's a magic word. That's what I call it that. It's like you say the magic word and win $100 if you're really old enough to have watched Groucho Marx on You Bet Your Life in the 1950s. Okay, they go way back. He said, but Beseder Kinesis Amochin the Katnut. So as they are coming in, you say this word Yisrael, and this brings in Mochin the Katnut. And now we're going to get into this a little bit more, that we understand that he didn't say the second part. The first part is you say the word Yisrael, it brings in all the Mochin Tekatnus. You say the word Echad, it brings in the Yichud, that is where the Yichud takes place, and it brings in the Mochin Tekatnus, plus whatever Mochin Tekatnus we're missing. So let's see how we understand this. He said, there are 4 different kinds of zivugim. So it's known now. It's known. That when you make a yichud between zer anpin and his no kavanas zivugim, why are they making this yichud? Is in order to be able to bring the shamos into this world. Bring down the shamos, the tachtonim, to the lower worlds, ba'olam hazeh, into this world. The Gavarn is Barvitz Lena. Now it's already been explained by us. Ki tipas hazivug ena mishalachem atzman. That the actual tipa that is produced in it is not really from Abba ve'ima. Amnam heim tzrichen lekachta b'techida b'mi shalamala bechem. So let me translate. Amna, but we see it's like this. Heim tzrichen, they have to lekachta, to take these tipos or this tipa, at the beginning, with that source which is up above them, which is another way of saying that is panimi to them, which is inside of them. That in other words, which came first. So when we see that Zer Anpin and his Nukva make a yichud, so therefore we see that Zer Anpin, he takes the tipa that comes as a result of this yichud, mitchila min Abba ve'ima. So first, right away, he gets this from Abba ve'ima, which is the partzuf that's up above him. And then when the yichud takes place, what he has picked up from the yichud that took place from Abba ve'ima, he gives to the nok. So the same thing is true of Abba. He takes one from up above, could go Ma'arik Ampin. And after that, he gives it to the Ima in the secret of Zivug. So let's stop right there. Go back, look at the Tivuk of Onos, and see if we can understand what's going on here. And he says, here is number Aleph. He says, Hashinuyim be'inyan ha'arba mini kriya shema sha'anu korim. So we say to call out the Kriat Shema, he calls it Korim, that we read it, we say it out 4 different times. Bir harab b'drash ha'kodim, so explain this a bit. He called the shinu Yisrael. All the changes that take place that in the matzav of the universe when you're saying when it takes place when you say the word Yisrael, be'inyan amochin dekatas shenik nasim bezah, and it has to do with mochin dekatas that come into zah. And I had mentioned I darshan myself as my own darash, but it's my understanding that this means the Katnut means the awareness of what we're lacking, right? The darkness of our situation. The more Katnut that you have within you, the more complete is your pleading, so to speak. So, and this really depends on the way in which you're pulling down he says the way. Ofen means way. Hamshachas and mochin the godless, so how the mochin the godless come in. Because now what's happening now, that in the saying the word Yisrael, you're bringing in mochin the godless. Mochim elu hu ma'al l'man b'tevis echad. And what happens is the mochin, and I told you that this mochin means the awareness of of our needs. That when they come into us, we have the ability to be able to raise them up in mayim nukfin towards the Ein Sof Baruch. So he said ma'al l'man b'tevis echad. Man means mayim nukfin, water that's going from the bottom. That's our prayers, our Torah, going from the bottom to the top of Ein Echad. And this is for the purpose of causing the yichud to take place between Abba and Ima. So if the more chashuv these mochin of Katnus are that you're able to ma'al, in other words, the bigger problems that you have, the more serious that it is. This is my understanding, okay? Sheyeh b'mochin the Katnus. As mamshech hamochin the gadol b'makom yosef gavor, then what you're doing, the more problems that you have down below, the higher. In other words, you can understand is your own prayer. The higher you will reach with your prayer. So if you're bringing up man from mochin which are weaker, sheyesh b'mochin the Katnus, which is the case in mochin the Katnus. Katnus in general is weak. But that's because it represents flaws and lacks and fears and all these other kinds of things. But there are less mochin dekatas and more mochin dekatas. So if you're taking it from a small amount of mochin dekatas, so therefore, the origin of the DNA that is needed to answer your prayer comes from a lower place. Let's go over to the Kriat Shema because that's where he started. Now you say the magic words there, Yisrael, Shema Yisrael. Come in now, mochin dekatas. What happens is at Kriat Shema Alamita, a makiv dekatim b'tzad ima brings in the makiv dekatas b'tzad ima. All you had previously to that was the penimi of from the side of ima. So now you're adding the makiv. So therefore, when you say the word echad, and that's the time of the yichud, so therefore it comes from the lowest place possible to bring that DNA in. Now, the mystery of these places along the way, in other words, the places are these partsufim, because we know that the tipo comes from the Roma Ma'alos, it comes from the Ein Sof Baruch. How that happens, it's a whole other story, but that's where it all starts. But he keeps saying that the higher that it's like this, it's like I guess like a bouncing. So the bigger the more heavy object goes on top of the spring, that's the kind of word I'm trying to think, it bounds up higher. But if it's not so heavy, then it doesn't go up so high. If it doesn't go up so high, as we say, is that the origin of the answer that you're looking for is going to come from a lower place. Now, how it is they come from a lower place, and like I said, steer it in my mind still, is that it's coming from the Most High, so no matter what it is, it's still what it is. But some way it needs a wrapping or looking for the answer to this, of how it is that these different positions, I called them stations before, really make a big impression on the answers that you get. So the Kriat Shema the Arvis, when nighttime comes, when Arvis comes, now when Zeh says the word Yisrael, Mochin the Benimi the Kanta B'tzad Abba, he gets Mochin the Benimi B'tzad Abba, which is a heavy set of Mochin. So then when you say the B'tzachad, This is where the spring starts. Then what comes out is mochin the gadas min the kitzonius arich. Then it comes from the kitzonius of arich. The kriya shema the karbanos, when you get to the karbanos of the kabbalah zecha b'tevis yisrael. So again, the first kriya shema you just say the order is not exactly the same, because daytime is stronger no matter how you look at it. That's what it seems to me. Like if you're starting out at night, everything's going to be weaker. But in the daytime, even though that you're very the beginning of the davening, and it's only the karbanos, the kriya shema by the karbanos, still it has a lot more. There's not a lot more awareness of what is missing. Of kriya shema the karbanos shemakabel zecha b'tevis yisrael. Hamakif the katnut b'tzad ima. This brings in the makif the katnut b'tzad ima, v'hapenimi the katnut b'tzad abba, and also the penimi the b'tzad abba. V'chein mamshech oz b'tevis echad. So therefore, now you come to the word for the yichud, which is echad, which is like we get darshan in another place. Hamor negadas min penimius arich. So this brings from the penimius of arich, it brings from a higher place. Of a kriya shema the yotze. Now you come to the kriya shema that's after Baruch Hu. Shemakabel, now you're in Olam Abriya. Shemakabel lezecha b'tevis yisrael hamakif the katnut b'tzad abba. It brings in the makif the katnus on the side of abba. V'chein mamshech oz b'tevis echad. So therefore, what you're pulling down when you say the word echad, hamochin the God has been kitzonius atik, from the highest possible place, because now at this point, as a result of going through the first three kriya shemas, the first three Yehudim, which are Kriya Shema L'Lamita, going backwards to that's the lowest possible place to draw Shefa. After all, everybody's sleeping. And then there's Arvis, which is a higher place, which goes to the Kitzonius of Arich. And then you go to Karbanos, and it brings from the Penimius of Arich, which is a much higher place again. And when you get to Yotzer, the Kriya Shema for Yotzer, we're going to be putting down the Shefa from the Chitzonius of Atik. And we went through some different reasons why we're dealing with the Chitzonius of Atik. What about the Penimius of Atik? So he explains that that's not shaykh here. Nimsa shekalchi shinuyim shal kabolas amochim the gadlos b'tevis echad. So therefore comes like this. All the differences in the quality of the Shefa that you're getting as a result of the word, saying the word echad, the whole thing is taloi lifnei zeh, so everything depends on, the shefa is what the final product is. It all depends before that, the kavanas tevis Yisrael, with the kavana that you're able to do when you say Yisrael, because the time and the place here has a lot to do. In other words, the place is let's say, for example, the place is the Kriya Shema by the Karbanos. So this is the morning time. That's the time. So it's a special time. It's different than the nighttime. Nighttime, it could be a darker time. So the daytime, it's already stronger in that way. So you're going to be pulling the shefa down for the penimius of Arich. That's where we understand. I'm looking for words for this, trying to understand exactly what the difference. But he says specifically that where the shefa comes from, and I use the word DNA, and I'm trying to make these words work out for me, to make them better understood. And if anybody has an idea, okay, I'd like to hear your ideas. So, but the fact of the matter is that the idea is, again, the Makasha is, it comes from the Rama Ma'alas and it goes through different parts of it. The question is that exactly when you say, where does the Shefa come from? Well, again, it's a steer. It comes from Rama Ma'alas, but it comes through specifically these four places going down. Okay, so let's just finish it up. Tevis Yisrael, the fi hamochin the katnus shemekabel oz hazah. So that really depends on the mochin the katnus that at that time their anpen is able to get. So, okay, anyway. After the Vira Rav Yosef Ba'orech, now the Rav's going to go into it more, and we will go into it more in the next year. What exactly is the Shefa, the nature of the Shefa, and the differences in the quality of the Shefa that's coming into this yichud of Zohar v'Nuk. The Zohar v'Nuk come together. They're able to, we're able to say the Kriat Shemah. This makes a yichud in Abba ve'Ima, and it goes all the way up and it comes all the way back down, and then it affects their Anpin and its Nuk, that they can make yichudim and they can bring more neshamas into our world. So we'll look into this more deeply and see what's playing. This is Baruch Fleischman.